Today's video is about probably my favourite topic, and that's pooing.
He loves to poo. Hi, we're Alicia and Jared, and welcome to another episode. Join us as we travel around Australia in our Sprinter van, Marley. Subscribe and let's see what this beautiful country has to offer.
Today's video is a little bit different. We're going to do a review of the Nature's Head composting toilet. It's this bad boy. We've been using it for about 6 months. Don't worry, it's clean.
I triple cleaned it, so it is spotless right now. That's why I said we need to do a video, because it is the cleanest it has been since we moved into the van when it was spotless.
So it's going to be a G-rated movie. It's all good. We can continue on. All right, let's get into it.
We got a toilet. We decided to go for a compost toilet. One, because it is eco-friendly, and two, you actually clean it less than you would for a chemical toilet. So tick tick, both for us, and we absolutely love it.
We're going to talk a little bit about the pros and cons of the Nature's Head composting toilet. Now, the pros are that it's actually a pretty big toilet. It's like sitting on a normal full-size one you get in a home, which is a little bit luxurious when you're living in a van. And you can sit down, no squatting like on a chemical toilet, which is cool. Your number ones and number twos are actually separated. So the number ones go into this chamber here, and the number twos go into this rear chamber. So while you're doing your business, you can actually keep them both separate. And you might be wondering why that's a cool thing. It means that you can just go and empty the urine chamber when you need to, and you don't have to go and empty the number two chamber as often. So what we try to do is we just try to go number ones in here if we have to, and number twos if it's like an emergency sort of thing. But it's really handy. You can just clean it nice and quick and easy. You just go and you empty it out into any of the dump points that you can find anywhere around Australia, or you can empty it into a normal toilet as well. And as for the compost, you can just throw that straight onto a garden. Make sure you get the people's permission before you do that, because it is just compost, but some people might get a little bit weirded out by that. In terms of how often we clean it and empty it, if we're using it every day for all of our business, the urine chamber is probably like every 2 to 3 days that you got to empty it out. But the number two chamber is more like every 2 weeks. Now, that being said, we don't use it every day. So in the 6 months we've been traveling around in Marley, we've only had to use it and empty it twice. So that's pretty amazing when you think about it. 6 months and hardly any cleaning involved. It's not perfect though. One thing that you got to keep in mind is that this particular unit is actually a lot more expensive than your standard cassette toilet. This is usually around the $1,500 mark, give or take, depending if you can find it on sale. You also need 12-volt electricity to run the extraction fan to just keep some air movement flowing through there, so you don't get any stinks and smells coming up through there, and no bugs creeping up as well. This is where you put your ventilation hose, and that's where you plug in your 12-volt power for the little extraction fan that's in there. To clean it is a little bit more hands-on than what you get with the chemical toilet. The chemical toilets, you just undo it and tip it straight into a dump point. This one does require kind of digging some stuff out, but it is compost. You might think it's really weird, but honestly, once you've done your business in here and you leave it in there and you keep stirring it, and the peat moss does just turn into normal compost. It's like soil when you open it up. So it's actually not that bad. It doesn't stink or anything like that, but it does require more hands-on cleaning. The last thing is that it is quite bulky and large. So if you're going to put it in a van, you've got to make sure you have a pretty big van or RV or caravan, that kind of thing. You can't just have a really small Toyota Hiace or just a little kind of run around panel van, unfortunately, because it does take up a lot of space. But in our mind, in our opinion, if you've got a larger van, then it's totally worth getting one of these instead.
Now I'm going to talk about the toilet and how it works. So first of all, we're going to split it into 2 sections, the liquid chamber and the solid chamber at the back. So let's talk about liquids first. So first of all, when you want to do number ones, you go and your liquid will go into this front section here. This chamber is closed and there is an overflow just in the little tuck here that will, any liquids that will get in that section will flow down into this chamber. All the wees that go in this top chamber will come through here and go into this section here. and then that can easily be taken out when you need to empty it. Now for the solid chamber. When you need to do your poos, you do your poos, but before you do your poos, don't forget to open this. So if you don't open this, you've got more cleaning than what you want. So you open this area and your number 2s will go down into this hole. This section is where the number 2s will go. This is where your moss is, and then after you've finished your number 2s, you will turn the wheel like this, and it will mix your number 2s in with the moss, and eventually it will turn into soil. Every time we go number 1s, we do kind of give it a little turn now and then, because we don't use the back compartment as much as we do number 1s. So we do like to turn it more often than probably we need, but I feel like it's better because then you can make sure it's actually composting. And then once you finish your number 2s, make sure you close. Otherwise, this is gonna stink the van out. So definitely make sure it's closed there. After you've done number 1s, you actually use this spray. You can use it for both the number 1s and number 2s. And you just give your toilet a bit of a spray, and this makes the smell kind of go away. This one came with the toilet, but we would eventually when this is out, I would make up a mixture of vinegar, water, probably put a little bit of essential oils in there just to make it smell nice. That just makes the area smell a lot more pleasant after you've done your number 1s and 2s
and 3s
and 3s and 4s and 5s. You're a male, female, either gender, you need to sit down for your wheeze and your poos. Because if you try and go as a male standing up, your number 1s is not going to get in that hole, and then you're going to muck up your compost. So men and women both have to sit down. That is a big, big one. Surprisingly, we have not smelt anything. It's now and then we might get a little whiff, but it's kind of like a soil nature. It feels like a nature soil kind of smell. So it actually does not stink like you would think at all. We were so surprised. That was one thing.
Emptying it is really quick and easy. You just undo the latches, you lift it up, pull out the urine chamber, you can just dump that. Like I said, you can go and dump it in one of the dump points that you can find all around in caravan parks and just kind of set up around in Australia, which is awesome. And then the number 2s, throw it in the garden, but yeah, you got to kind of scoop that out, throw it in a bag or throw it directly onto a garden. If you're going to throw it in a bag though, make sure it's a compostable bag, obviously an organic bag that you can just go and throw it away and it's going to decompose naturally. There is one thing that some people might be put off a little bit by, and that's when you are emptying the urine chamber, you do have to open up the number 2's chamber as well. So you do get a bit of a view of the soil, compost, what it's doing in there, but like we have talked about, it turns into compost, so it's not actually that bad. It's all good, but yeah, it is one little thing. But you don't have to lift it a lot though, you can just kind of get it up as quickly as possible and quickly close it. Another thing when you're installing the Nature's Head composting toilet inside your van is it can't go hard up against a wall, can't be flush against the wall, because you do need to be able to lift the toilet seat and the chamber. So you do have to bring it out maybe a little bit, that far or so, and then you have complete access to it.
Now I'm going to talk about the do's and the don'ts for emptying your toilet. Okay, for the do's, empty it responsibly. Be a good human being. Don't empty it in somebody's backyard just because you don't like them. You're going to put all your compost all over their garden. That is just wrong. That's totally wrong. Make sure you put your waste in the correct dumping area, whether it is an allocated dumping site, which most councils in Australia have a dumping site, or I'm sure over in the US and Canada and Europe, wherever you're from, they are the same as well. We use the app Wikicamp to find our dumping point locations, and I'm sure other countries like US, you can use Overlander and so on. So when it comes to number 1s, people think, oh, it's just urine. I can just put it wherever I like, just in the bush somewhere. You actually can't. Your urine contains a salt concentration that is actually harmful to some areas of the environment. So please be aware of this, and please dump your number 1s and your number 2s responsibly. Now for the don'ts. Don't dump your waste down storm drains, okay? Your storm drains usually go out to the ocean, so that is a massive no-no. Please don't do that. I've just told you why you shouldn't, because your urine is salty and your number twos is just wrong. As a last resource, you can put your number ones into a toilet. We recommend dumping it in a waste sewage system, so those dump points. Another don't is do not put your composting waste into a toilet, because you are just gonna clog that up and it's gonna be a bigger disaster and mess for you to clean up. So that one is a total no-no. Don't get caught up with the do's and the don'ts of emptying your toilet. Just always remember, be mindful, be respectful of people and the environment, and just be a good human being. Don't be a crap human being. Put your waste in a responsible place, please. When it comes to cleaning, disinfecting and keeping the maintenance of the toilet, every time we empty the liquid chamber, I give the toilet a spray down with some eco-friendly multi-purpose spray. So I just give it a little wipe and make sure everything smells nice and dandy. When it comes to the liquids, we do give it a rinse out. I do put an eco solution through it just to give it a little clean now and then, and same with the back as well. When we empty the composting peat moss section out into our compost bag, remember that guys, compost bag, I give it a quick rinse down, a bit of a wipe, and clean that section out as well. It's important to keep your toilet clean, because I'm thinking that's where you get some yucky germs crawling around. Ugh.
One conversation we have with a lot of van lifers is whether or not you actually want a toilet in your van, and in our opinion it's something that is pretty much a must-have. There are so many times where we've had to use this thing in the middle of the night if we're parked up in a free camp and there's no toilet close by, or even if we're just kind of parked up by the beach and we're doing some work or whatever and there are no toilets anywhere close by, we can just jump on this and do what we have to do real quick. And it is something that we are very stoked that we have inside the van. It does take up a lot of space, and it does mean that we have a little bit of cleaning that we have to do, but it's well worth it to be fully self-contained. And then being self-contained means you can stay at a lot more free camps, because some of them have just got that hard rule where if you're not self-contained you can't stay. And if that's the case, guys, just be honest and nice about it. If you're not self-contained, don't stay there. Don't go to the toilet out in nature, because that's what they're trying to have people avoid doing, especially when you have a lot of van lifers parked up there. And that's pretty much it for our review of the Nature's Head composting toilet. Overall, we think this thing is awesome. We'll probably give it a good, I don't know, 8.5, 9 out of 10 in toilet ratings. For van life toilets, the Nature's Head composting toilet is pretty awesome. If you found this video useful, leave a comment below, hit that thumbs up. I know it's a bit of a weird topic. We just spent 5-10 minutes or whatever it is talking about a toilet, but it's essential for van life. So if you enjoyed it, leave a comment, hit that thumbs up button, and why not subscribe to the channel. We'll keep bringing out more videos which aren't just about toilets in the future. Thanks very much for watching. We'll see you on the next adventure. To take your poo and wee.